How will the new U.S. administration treat Turkey? We are aware of the close relationship that President Erdogan and President Trump have maintained over the past years, but will a potential Biden presidency mean also a change in the U.S. approach in the region?
I do think that if there's a Biden presidency, you may see a significant change for a number of factors. One is that Vice President Biden has had a personal relationship with the Greek American community for almost his entire life. When he started the United States Senate as a 30-year-old, across the hall from him was Andrew Manitos, my father. In his first elections, the Greek Americans in Delaware got to know him and have known him ever since. So he's not only has personal relationships with the community, but has spent much of his political career working on issues of importance to Greece, Hellenism and Orthodoxy. When he was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee at Erdogan before his committee, he said to him, "Until you get your troops off Cyprus, I'll make your relationship with the United States as difficult as possible." When he was Vice President of the United States, he was the only sitting Vice President to visit the Ecumenical Patriarchate, and he did so twice. He refers to the Ecumenical Patriarch as one of the two most Christ-like people he's ever met. In the Cyprus issue, as Vice President, he visited Cyprus and tried to find a solution to the issue. So he's been personally involved in a lot of these matters. So to have someone like that as President of the United States engage in these issues could make a significant difference.
What can we practically expect? Can a Biden administration play a more active role in the East Med and in NATO?
Well, that's a very good question for a number of reasons. First of all, this administration, although you mentioned that President Trump does seem to have a close relationship with President Erdogan, if you look at the actions of this administration, particularly in recent months and weeks, they've been doing some things that we haven't seen in a long time. The visit of Secretary Pompeo to Greece and the things that he said specifically about Greece and about a pillar of stability in the Eastern Mediterranean. Their involvement in the East Med group of Greece, Cyprus, and Israel, the United States, is very significant. But, even when we've had administrations in Washington that have been friendly with Greece, there still is, what is the actual policy? What has actually changed with regard to the Eastern Mediterranean? And you have right now Erdogan and Turkey being more difficult and more dangerous to Greece and Cyprus than they've ever been, and to the Ecumenical Patriarchate. So that is going to be a challenge. Although I should also add that in addition to having the President of the United States, we're going to have a Vice President of the United States in Kamala Harris, who has a decades-long personal relationship with the Greek American community. As a United States Senator, has been very favorable towards Hellenism and Orthodoxy. But then also under that, you're going to have, as the Secretary of State, as the National Security Advisor for President, if it would be President Biden, people who've been personally involved in our issues for many years. Tony Blinken, who's the top foreign policy advisor and talked about as a possible Secretary of State or National Security Advisor. Jake Sullivan, who was heavily involved in the Hillary Clinton campaign and is in this campaign as well, also someone who's worked closely with the Vice President on these issues. So implementation of policy, not only is there goodwill going in, but the folks who would be handling that on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis are people who've been very favorable towards U.S.-Greece relations.
Does Biden, as a potential U.S. president, have leverage over Tayyip Erdogan?
That's a good question, and I think we'll see. I know that the Vice President Biden, when he was Vice President, in his last 2 years, the administration kind of gave him the reins on the Cyprus issue, and he worked very hard at his personal relationship he developed with Erdogan to try to push him towards a settlement. It was unsuccessful and was very disappointed by it. We're hopeful. But I should also add that, look, if there's another Trump administration, despite the president's close relationship with Erdogan, things can change. You saw it with President Obama. I think it was in his first 4 years in office, there was no foreign leader that President Obama talked to more so than Erdogan. But then Obama saw Erdogan for who he was, and policy changed accordingly.
We have seen over the past months, at least, a change of direction and a change of attitude and a change of language, especially coming from the U.S. State Department and the U.S. Congress. So in the hypothetical question that Trump wins the election, will there be a potential change of course?
We're hopeful that that would be the case there as well. The United States Congress that you mentioned has played a very important role over the years in legislating, but also encouraging and pushing the administration of different parties in directions that are more favorable towards U.S. policy towards Greece, Cyprus, and the East Med. So there's certainly a lot of room for improvement, but there are many ways in which it can be done.